Good evening. Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for May 8th, 2023. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters related to the engagement of a particular corporation and the employment history of a particular pedagogical employees?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Can I have a motion to go back into public session?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good evening. Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for May 8th, 2023. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by a moment of silence for our armed forces and those in our community who have lost loved ones, especially the mother of Linda Arco and the mother of Dominic Passarelli. Oh, wait, the pledge will be given by Cadence, Autumn, and Ben.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Sorry we were a little bit late coming out. Dr. Hatter, it looks like we have the middle school to visit us today.
Yes, we have two wonderful celebrations this evening. We have a student recognition of 5 students, and we have wonderful news that will be presented tonight by Mildred E. String Middle School students and staff. I'm going to make my way over to the podium for the student recognition portion first. We have 5 students who achieved an extraordinary feat in music education, and this is just something that we're so proud of as a school district to be able to celebrate, recognize, honor. So 5 students in our middle school, 4 of the students are in 6th grade, 1 student's in 7th grade, auditioned for and participated in the elementary and intermediate all-county bands in March, so a couple months back. For the elementary all-county band, it's generally grades 4 through 6, students in those grades that participate, and for the intermediate band, students in grades 7 through 9 participate. So we have 5 students that we want to recognize this evening with certificates of recognition and our words of congratulations. We're just so proud of the middle school students and their performance. To achieve at this level, at this age, is just remarkable, and we could not be more impressed and more just in awe of their performance. So I'd like to call up, first I'd like to invite Mrs. Horowitz to the podium with me to join in congratulating the middle school students, and we'll call them up one at a time. Our first student being recognized this evening, and the certificate reads, to recognize your outstanding performance with the Westchester Elementary and Intermediate All-County Bands. Our first student is Il-Yoon Choi. Sophia Palmentiero. Sophia here? Our next recipient is Ethan Lamb, grade 6 tenor sax. And I didn't mention Sophia was recognized, Sophia is a 6th grader recognized for her work in using the flute. Congratulations again, Sophia. This evening, we have 2 additional students. I don't know if Garrett Stallings is in the audience, but I didn't think so. They responded that they couldn't attend, but we certainly want to acknowledge Garrett. Garrett is in grade 6 alto sax, and we'll make sure that we get Garrett his certificate. And finally, Vincent Cassetta, grade 7 trombone. Congratulations, Vincent. And congratulations to all of our students. My thanks to Ms. Cassetto for bringing this to our attention. We really appreciate hearing about all the wonderful news and all the great things that our students are doing, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. At this time, so for the parents who are here to acknowledge your children, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for cultivating music in their lives. Music is such an important part of the overall academic experience, and we thank you for doing that. We hope you continue to do that. We're going to transition now into the good news presentation for our middle school. And at this time, I'd like to invite middle school principal Mrs. Horowitz to the podium to introduce the presentation.
Good evening. At this time, my assistant principals will begin the presentation.
Good evening, Dr. Hatter, Mrs. Carbone, and all of the Board of Education. Thank you so much for having us here today. We have an excellent presentation for you that Dr. Roopchan is going to tell you a little bit about.
We would like to begin the presentation by first bringing up Mrs. Gannon. Ms. Gannon?
Good evening. How are you? We're very fortunate, Mr. Epsilantis over there and myself, to work in the Family and Consumer Science and CEM classrooms because everything we do lends itself to real life skills. Some that we are going to highlight tonight are the 306 Holiday Market, the Collaborative Pop-Up Cafe 309, and lastly, the food trucks. Mrs. Scrella and her 306 crew are going to talk about their 306 Holiday Market at this time.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us tonight. My name is Susan Scralia. I'm the special ed teacher in the 812 Life Skills classroom, and I would like to introduce the students who are able to be with us today.
Hi, my name is Matthew Melendez. I'm Malachi Waters.
I'm Marana. I'm Donna Topic J.
So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a few months since our holiday market, but the skills that they learned through the process will be something that they'll carry for a really long time to come and that they will practice and implement in the future. So without further ado, I introduce to you the 2022 holiday market. We have 4 students here today, 2 of which weren't able to join us, but in our class are also Michael Penzetta and Davi Souza, and they'll be featured throughout the presentation as well. All right, so when we talk about inception to then actually having our school store, there were 5 steps that were followed, and with those steps are
Planning, creating, promoting, preparing, and selling.
Thank you, Matthew. And within those stages, the students really honed in on math skills, executive functioning skills, fine motor skills, communication skills, countless amount of skills across the board. And some of them will be highlighted in these pictures. But before we move on, Malachi, can you please share who our classroom designers are?
Eric, Davi, Tanya, me, Michael, Matthew.
Our 6 little designers. They did a fantastic job. All right, Malachi, maybe you can share what is going on in these pictures here.
Me and Matthew are making bracelets, and Eric is working on earrings.
So bracelets and earrings, some of the things that we sold, and they're featured over here. So both parents and those members of the board who'd like to take a little peek at what we did, there's some merchandise left over from our holiday sale this year. You're welcome to take a look and help yourselves. All right, Danya, let's see. What do we see here? What's going on in this picture?
I'm making bracelet and Davi making bracelet.
He's making bracelets
earring.
He's making those earrings. Excellent. Good job. Eric, what do we have in this picture?
Michael's making earrings and you, Malachi, making earrings.
We had to make a lot of earrings and a lot of bracelets, right? Because we had a lot of customers come visit us. So again, just some more pictures that capture the students in intense focus, really honing in on the craft of whatever it is that they decided to make for that particular day. And in addition to jewelry, Matt, what else did we create?
Cards, keychains, earrings, and bracelets.
Excellent. When most of the merchandise was created, the children had an opportunity to scour all of the items that were made, and they were able to select 3 items that they would like to gift their family. And so this just highlights some of the bracelets and, some of the jewelry and the cards that they made that they gifted the families. So the preparation was done, the creative stages were done. Now we're ramping up for our holiday store. And in this picture, Matt, what's happening here?
We are putting the cards inside the pouches.
Yeah, what kind of cards?
The meeting cards. Thank you cards, yeah.
So they all participated in that. You see this? They're working diligently, each and every one of them. And then ultimately came the day of our holiday market, and it was a beautiful display of tons of bracelets and jewelry, right, Danya? And when we had our holiday market, Don, who came out?
It's a lot of people in there.
A lot of people, right?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Happy and excited.
That's right. That's awesome. Eric, what did you like about this store the most?
Earring.
What
I
about
like-
the earrings?
I like them so much. That's it.
Did you like making them?
Yeah. I'm done.
You're done.
All done.
All right. Well, Eric liked making the earrings. What about you, Malachi? What did you enjoy best?
I love working with my friends to make the bracelets.
Nice job. Matt, what was your favorite part?
Making the bracelets for Malachi.
So some friends worked individually, other friends chose to work collaboratively, and some went back and forth with it. So whatever worked. Needless to say, these pictures show the outpour of support and commitment to our students and our program. I'd really like to say thank you to the administration, whose commitment and dedication to our program and our class is completely and entirely unwavering. Any kind of initiative or endeavor that we have planned, you guys are always gung-ho about it. Additionally, the school community as a whole, had we not had customers and the support of our school staff and faculty, it wouldn't have been the success that it is. I'd like to thank the parents for entrusting us with your children each and every day, and my classroom team, who is mine and the students' #1 cheerleader, and we had them on quality control. We had Miss Pat working quality control. She's like, we can't sell bad merchandise. We need to make sure that these bracelets aren't going to pop because they're not going to come back next year. Remember she said that? And lastly, to the students, who I speak for myself and my team when I say that we come to work eagerly each and every day, and we smile and we laugh and we learn, and we're in awe by them and their brilliance and their perseverance. And I think that this is bravo to them. One last thing. We earned over $400 that day. And with that money, we bought a Cricut Explorer 3. So we're going to expand our school store next year and offer some other items. We bought an ice cream maker, a personal pie maker, and our waffle maker to support our in-class cooking program. Like I said, on display, there's some earrings and some bracelets that were left over. We also have some stickers. We had an autism fundraiser, and one of our students designed an autism sticker, which we then adhered to tumblers. So there's some stickers that are on there. You can put them on your tumbler or your laptop. Help yourselves, and just thank you for your ongoing support.
All
right, guys. Thanks for having me here. I'm Mr. Epsilantis. I'm the career exploration teacher. I had the awesome opportunity to have Miss Susan's class with me for a quarter in the third quarter, and we did some really, really cool things. I want to highlight just, tonight we really discussed at length the idea of working in the food service industry. We've had a number of students come through our program with Miss Susan and Mrs. Purdy before, who found themselves in really successful careers in food service. So we talked a lot about it, and I'm going to take you through some of that. And the students had a chance to actually serve some people. So we discussed many different cooking and food service jobs. We looked at each job, and we talked about which tasks you'd have to do. We watched a number of videos through Career One Stop. There's a worksheet on the board here that each student filled out, and each job is broken down by category, and they had to sort of just check off if they're interested, if they're not interested in that career, or they wanted to learn more. And so we discussed all those different points and watched the videos, which was kind of fun. So students prepared food for a Cafe 309. Me and Mrs. Gannon spoke, and we talked to Miss Susan, and we decided to collaborate and give the students an opportunity to prepare food and to serve it to people so that they can put some of this into practice. They served customers, including students and faculty. They prepared the food and designed the menu. We have some menus up here, some examples. Michael Panzetta did a lot of the great work here that you see up here. Do you want to talk, Matthew, about what the different jobs were?
Yeah. Waiter took orders for each table on order notepads. Servers brought the orders to the table and collected and counted donations. Host greeting guests and handing out menus, showing customers to their table.
Thank you, Matthew. Can you hold this for me for 1 second? Hold that for me. So there's a number of photos here. We were able to capture some of the really cool moments that happened. It was kind of like any restaurant. It got a little hectic. There were people running around, but everybody was super active and doing different jobs. Like Matthew, what are you doing in that picture there?
Getting the person's order.
And it was Mr. Rosen's order, right? So it was really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, what are you doing in that picture there?
I don't know.
Do you know what Eric's doing?
What? He making coffee.
Yeah, it was iced coffee, but he was making coffee. And what are you doing, Tanya?
I'm taking orders.
Taking orders. And Malachi, what were you doing? We didn't get a picture of it, but what were you doing the whole time?
I was bringing people to the table.
Thank you, Malachi. And he did an awesome job at that. He was the first person that they saw when they walked in. The big smile on his face, right, Malachi? Absolutely. It was a really awesome experience to watch. The students we actually had faculty down here, and actually Mrs. Lopez brought her class down. So there was interaction with some students. There was interaction with the teachers in the room. And what were some of the things on the menu, Matthew?
Cookies, cupcakes, and iced coffee.
We also had iced tea or iced coffee. And what was the gluten-free? Do you remember what that was?
Bar, marshmallow. Yeah.
So we made Chex marshmallow bars, I guess, like Rice Krispie treats, trademark infringement stuff. So that was our Cafe 309. It was a really awesome thing to watch and to see. And I'd love to see the students be able to embark on more opportunities like that to put what they learned into action. We have a treat for you guys. I want to thank Mrs. Gannon for her help with this project, Mrs. Screlia for letting me borrow her students for 10 weeks. And I want to thank you guys for all your hard work and dedication to making this thing happen. So thank you guys. We have some chocolate chip cookies. They are gluten free. So Matthew will come around if Malachi, you want to help Matthew pass them out. You want to pass them out to the board? Here, give me the pass them out to everybody.
Hi. Thank you. These look scrumptious. These look wonderful. Oh, you got one? Okay.
Open up for questions or bring Mrs. Kennedy.
Great.
Like, do they want to ask questions of the kids?
Thank you, Malachi. What else? Thank you. Thank you, Malachi.
Me? You can't see me. You don't need to see me. Does anybody on the board, anybody would like to, or anybody out here, anybody have any questions for our amazing students? Anyone want to ask them anything about their experiences? The floor is yours before we bring up Mrs. Gannon.
So I'm just curious to know what was the student's favorite item. What was the most popular item that was ordered?
The cookies.
Mrs. Gannon's cookie recipe is a special one. If you haven't experienced it, you're about to. Anybody else? Any other questions?
I have a question for Malachi. Malachi, you have one of my most favorite names.
There it is.
Because I have a son named Malachi, and when we were choosing to name him, it was between Malachi and Malachi, and really they came in kind of like this. So you really do share a favorite name of mine with my son. So my question is, during the process, did you have a favorite part in this process of cooking, or what was your favorite part of the process?
I love cooking. I loved working with my friends to make the bracelets.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. And we're going to go look at them in a minute, too.
Excellent. Thank you, Malachi. Another question, Mrs. Bose?
So I want to say this is probably my favorite good news presentation. I love to shop, so when I heard holiday market, I was listening, and I love earrings, and I love cookies, so love you guys for being here. I have a question for Matthew. Would you like to run more school stores, and do you have any ideas of what more else you would like to sell?
Yes, I would like to run more stores because they're fun and they feel like real life. I'd like to sell Rice Krispie treats and other desserts in Cafe 309 because I'm interested in culinary arts.
I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew.
I have a question.
Sure.
But before I ask it, I want to say that I'm with Reshmi, and shopping and cookies are my two favorite things. So thank you for bringing both of those to us. And my question is for you, Eric. Is there something that you found hard to do that as you kept doing it, it got a little easier for you?
Earrings. Making this bracelet was hard. Can you help me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'll do it.
All right, go for it.
Making the bracelet was hard, so I need to ask for help. When putting the razor started to me with earrings because making the earrings was easy because the hoop get a shape.
Ah, glad to hear it got easier for you. Thanks for sharing that with
Thank you.
me. Good job.
I have a question for Dania. How did it feel when you were set up the store and you had everybody come to the market and buy things? How'd you feel about that?
I felt happy, and it doesn't because I like meeting new people and because we were buying the things we made. Thank you.
I think that's all the questions, but I just want to say that has made me so happy, this presentation. You guys are amazing, amazing students, and we're so proud that you're in our school. So thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having us. These guys are awesome. So that was a treat. I'm going to cross over here and hand this over to Mrs. Gannon, who's going to take over and talk about the food truck project, right?
And tonight we have the Golden Spoon recipients. They actually won the fourth period part of the competition. And with us we have Cadence Nair, Autumn Angel Fantasia, and Ben Whalen. And they're going to talk about the different parts of this competition. The process.
The process. First, we had to come up with the theme, mascot, and the slogan of our food truck. Second, everything had to be approved before moving forward. Third, once approved, then we had to choose a recipe that fit within the budget and time frame of 2 class periods. We had to decide if we needed any special garnishes and or decorations. Fourth, we had to complete a packet for the project that listed all of the jobs/careers involved, and we even had to look up commercial-grade equipment for the truck. We did not have a budget for this part, so it was fun to find the best of the best. Fifth, we then had to work on the components of the food truck project. We had to make a food truck replica. We could pick out of 2 choices, or we can make our own shape. We had to put each commercial equipment inside the food truck too. We added the mascot into ours.
The menu. We need to make a menu for the judges to look at. The menu had to use descriptive words that you would see at a real-life restaurant or on a food truck. We also had to have a small menu to put on or near our food truck replica.
The t-shirt/uniform design. We had to design the front and the back of the food truck t-shirts that the workers would have to wear on the food truck. We had to come up with our own flyer that we would use for our mascot and the food truck information.
The recipe or food sample. Our food sample was prepared in 2 class sessions. We requested the red lace cupcake decoration to make the sample stand out.
The display for the judges. On the final day, there were 15 judges who assigned points for the presentation, plate, the food truck, the flyer/ad, the food truck, and the uniform. They also awarded points for the taste of our food sample. Each component can earn 5 points totals. When the judges came in to award points and to fill out their official judging forms, it was expected and nerve-wracking because they could ask us tough questions about anything on our project. Some questions the judges asked were, why'd you choose strawberry cheesecakes? What jobs do you do? Are the cheesecakes homemade? Why'd you choose this theme? And they even asked what calories are in the cheesecake.
And because it was just little samples, no calories. This is a copy of the rubric. You can see that they go through, each judge comes in and it's anonymous. They don't put their names or anything. And out of 5, all the components that the students just read, they rate it 1 to 5. And then I get to tally it, do lots of math, and then
The awards for coming in first place. When the totals were figured out and released to us, we found out that we won the coveted Golden Spoon Award, and we also received certificates.
And that is our food truck presentation, and they did an awesome job. Thank you. If you have any questions, they would be more than willing to answer them if you would like.
How did they come up with this idea? These are amazing. The design is amazing. The whole idea is amazing.
A lot of fun to do, and a lot of work on their part. So how did you come up with that design?
Well, we first wanted to do something that was like not just a normal cake, but like a fancier cake. And so we thought, well, let's add something more flavor and then meant strawberry cheesecakes.
No, I just want to say I'm hungry. I love the menu and really great job. No, great job. Great job.
I'd like to thank all my staff and my wonderful student presenters for being with us tonight. And this is just an example of how Family and Consumer Science brings academics to life. They did an awesome job, and thank you very much to my staff for all the support you give our students. And look how amazing they are and all that they've been able to do.
Yes.
At this time, we invite you to look at the food store and taste the cookies if you like.
And so we'll ask members of the board to come up and take a look at the earrings. A bracelet is there. And students, I just want to say how proud of you I am. Mrs. Scarlio, thank you for everything you're doing, the staff is doing. Students, you're amazing. Absolutely amazing. That was my favorite good news presentation since I've been here, to be honest. That was terrific. The food truck, I have come in, I have judged in the food truck competition. I try to give all fives to everyone. So I'm a slam dunk when I come in, you're going to get all fives. But great job. I really am just so impressed with everything that we're seeing here tonight. Mrs. Horowitz, under your leadership, thank you so much for everything you're doing in the building with your team, Dr. Rupchand and certainly Ms. Copeland and the teachers. Mr. Rosen, I also want to acknowledge your efforts in bringing the programs to our school district and the wonderful offerings that we have. Thank you. And Ms. Almeida and Ms. Rudick are here also, and I just want to acknowledge their efforts. So thank you for this. This was terrific. At this time, as the board is going to take a look at the items that our students have made, that we can observe and view and touch and enjoy, we'll also have a brief intermission as well for the meeting. We know that bedtimes are coming up and homework, and there are so many other obligations. The Knicks are on, so there are so many other obligations that you have this evening. And we'll be adjourning briefly for just a few minutes. So if you wish to depart, you're welcome to. If you wish to stay for the remainder of the meeting, you're obviously welcome to do that as well. But thank you so much. Thank you, parents, for sharing your wonderful children with us. It really is a joy each day. So we thank you to our students who were recipients of the music awards. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. I am just so proud of all of our students tonight. Thank you.
So that was probably the best good news I've seen in a lot of years. So thank you for bringing them in. We have our public hearing. So I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed? Who is presenting the budget? Lisa?
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the budget that's being proposed for next week. So in total, the budget amount is $115,670,000. That is a $6,865,000 increase from the current year budget. That equates to a 6.31% increase from budget to budget year over year. The allowable tax levy growth factor was capped at 2% this year, even though our rate of inflation was 8%. The state has capped it at 2%. That's the maximum we were allowed to grow. The estimated tax rate change for the residents in the town of Yorktown is a 1.78 tax rate increase. Again, it's an estimated tax rate increase. The allowable total tax levy increase is going to be 2.43%. I want to emphasize that means this is a tax cap compliant budget. Some other points to mention: we will be using some of our reserves in this budget. $500,000 will be coming out of our employee retirement pension reserve. Another $500,000 will be coming out of our teachers' retirement pension reserve, and $1,065,000 will be coming from our unappropriated unreserved fund balance, for a total of $2,065,000 from our reserves. One final note is that the state did approve and pass their budget last week. It was almost a month, it was over a month late. Year over year, our state aid in total is projected to increase by almost $4.7 million. Most of that is in the form of foundation aid, which was the third and final year of the state's promise to make all school districts whole when it comes to the foundation aid formula. So those are just some of the highlights. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Just quickly, from what we were projected state aid was going to be to what it actually wound up, was there any significant difference?
Nothing significant, just a few dollars here and there, but for the most part, it reflected what the governor's proposal was back in January.
Okay, does the board have any questions? No. We can open it up for public comment on this budget hearing only. Is there anybody in the public who has questions on the budget? Nope. Then can I have a motion to close the budget hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to move on to public comment on agenda-related items. Anything of it? No. Nope. So, Ron, we're going to move to the superintendent's report.
Very good. So we have a couple of components of the superintendent's report this evening. There are some general updates that I will provide. However, prior to providing those updates, we have a presentation from Mamasi Architects. As the community is aware, and certainly the board, we transitioned architects for this school year, and we asked the Mamasi Architect Group to come in and take a look at our school buildings, the existing space constraints that we have. We are experiencing some space constraints in Brookside and Mohansick. That's nothing new. It's something we've discussed at multiple Board of Education meetings, and we're looking at just kind of where we are with a fresh perspective from our architects. So at this time, I'd like to invite the team here from Mamasi to the podium to present to the board and to the community their findings as they walk through our school buildings.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm just going to introduce myself and the rest of our team. I'm Tina Masidi-Santh. I'm one of the managing partners. My partner, Daryl Mastracy, who has been integral in working with us so far with the district, and Dominique Moore, who has been leading some of the planning work for the project. We want to just talk through some of the ideas around pre-referendum planning to really support the space needs that we see and that we've been talking about as a steering committee. Let me just make sure this is working. Does anybody else want to say anything before I start? Okay. There we go. Nope. Same one. You want to do it? That's fine. We'll give you a cue. Okay. We're good. So we're going to go through some pre-referendum planning. We're going to talk through some of the space needs and limitations and findings that we have discovered through the discussions with your administrators, many of your teachers from at all the schools. We started this process a couple months ago where we met with everybody individually. We've walked through the buildings. We've been discussing our findings with the steering committee and have gotten to a point where we can talk at least about what what the needs seem to be, and based on the limitations that we have found. So one of the things I just want to talk through is how we approach planning. And we look at it sort of as a two-pronged approach. We look at the facilities as a whole, essentially as structures. So the infrastructure and how we maintain and upgrade buildings to keep them modern and to modernize systems. We also simultaneously look at instruction. So we're looking at things like space to support collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and even the district's vision as a whole to instructional space, to workspace, and to social space. So there's a number of items on this slide. I'm not going to go through each of them, but essentially we start with looking at facilities. We look at safety and security, so sort of a layered approach from the outside of the building in. That's things like vestibules, exterior doors and windows, and then getting into the interior door hardware, window systems, and even things on the exterior like fencing and exterior lighting. We also look at health and wellness, so things related to a healthy environment, clean filtered air, thermal comfort, lighting quality, even things like clean drinking water and sustainable building materials. We also look at infrastructure and maintenance, so modern electrical systems, mechanical systems, and ways to improve efficiencies. And we look at things like the exterior envelopes, maybe where there might be air infiltration at doors and windows. And also accessibility, which is very important, and trying to provide access for all, with it, whether it's at a main entrance, in toilet rooms, interior doorways, and even throughout the site for pedestrian circulation and parking. And in general site improvements, so looking at your campus as a whole, all the campuses at each of the schools, looking at athletic fields, parking lots, driveways, circulation patterns, and even things like stormwater management as it relates to building sites. When it comes to instruction, there are a number of components that we really try to focus on. The first one is the classroom. So looking at flexible classrooms for individual study, for both individual traditional lecture, but also team-based learning, and that incorporates things like spaces that allow for multiple teaching walls, for flexible furniture, write-on surfaces, and items like that. One of the big things is extended learning areas. As small group learning has become more important, we look at things like breakout rooms, small group spaces, small conference rooms that can be used either for instruction or for team meetings, independent and group work as well. And for students, when that comes to students, doing it in a manner where they can still be supervised. Student commons and media centers, those are sort of really important trending spaces, trending in the sense that they've become far more than just a library or a common area. They're really now flexible instructional spaces that support community events. They support event spaces. They're zoned to allow for small and large groups, for various learning modes and methods, for casual learning, for formal learning, and frankly for socializing as well. Technology and innovation is another factor, looking at the types of spaces that support modern technology along with traditional technologies. So robotics, STEM, STEAM, maker spaces, building technologies, building sciences, fashion in some cases, music as well. And then student wellness in general. So looking at how student support services are organized and how comfortable students are to actually utilize these services. So the focus group meetings, when we sat down with everybody, we really, we asked a very basic question of how your facility supports instruction and where they see the deficiencies to deliver their program. And Dominique is going to talk through a lot of the findings, and then we can talk about next steps and have a discussion about that. I'll leave this for you. Yep.
Hi, everyone. So, like Tina mentioned, we went around to several. Oh, I'm sorry. Better? A little bit better? Better. Okay. So, like Tina mentioned, we went to all of the schools. We did a tour. We spoke to the principals, the assistant principals, a lot of the teachers and the staff to kind of put together some of the observations and findings. So, the first school we're going to present is Mohansic, which is our K-3 elementary school. In general speaking, we know that Mohansic is one of the schools that are at capacity with enrollment and is looking for more space. So we really found that a lot of these small instruction spaces were being held in the hallways due to a lack of actual instructional space. And there's programming that is underutilized, for instance, like the music room, because it's being held in the cafetorium on the stage, and it conflicts with when cafeteria services are in function. And a lot of other smaller things, such as like, a lack of professional development space, focused heads down space for students and teachers, and even when parents come in for parent-teacher conferences. So those type of areas. And so this slide just kind of highlights in general the overall floor plan of where these observations and findings are located. And then as we move through the slides, it just kind of zooms in on a location and an observation. So for instance, in terms of the small instructional spaces, you can see by the photos here that there's just a lot of instruction happening in the hallway here. It's down every turn, it's in the stairwells, it's, so this is one of our biggest findings that we will be looking to address. And there's just some more follow-up pictures there. And then again, the space needs. So our student support spaces, the E&L, the speech, the reading, the AIS. We're finding that those spaces, even though they're not in the hallway, they're too small, right, to accommodate all the students that need those services at one time. And then as we move through again, general art, general music classrooms, we're finding that, they're co-sharing spaces that conflict with their program, which makes them a little underutilized. And also, like, if we have a general band room and we have a music teacher, we need a music office. So, like, just bringing those spaces together more efficiently. So then in terms of eSteam and library, we found that they work really well together, right? They work well in the same space. They reflect program-wise to have that adjacency, but we do find that it would lend better to having a little bit more space as we combine those programs. And that's just some photos there of the library. Next is our 12 1-2 classrooms and 12, so currently Mohansic has 3 12 1-2s and one of them are being shared. So that was another finding that we found that we would like to, something that we could address. And then again, general professional development space, staff rooms, work rooms, conference rooms, we're finding that there's a lack of those. And so then we can move on to Brookside. Now, Brookside is very similar. It's the other K-3, as you guys know, and it's also at full capacity with enrollment. So we do find similarities with Mohansic in terms of the small instructional spaces, the student support spaces, and they are being housed in spaces that are very limiting to their current curriculum. Other things that we've noticed in Brookside specifically, again, is the lack of professional development space, and just an overall decrease. Like when we combine the spaces again with like the library, the eSteam, that works great. Everybody loves that and that's flowing really well. But they also share that space with speech. So our findings is, if we can that's kind of hindering the program in general. And so again, we broke out some highlights to Brookside. And so in terms of the space needs, they have ICT spaces integrated into the classrooms, which we found work really well for the curriculum at this school. And that would be something that they potentially would like to do more with some of the other additional ICT or small group spaces that are needed. In addition, a lot of the reading, the ENL, similar to Mohansic, are all sharing a space, and we find that that kind of hinders how they run their programming, with multiple teachers having to be flexible and work around multiple schedules, and then also accommodating the students. Another joint space that we found are the social worker, the PT, the OT. They don't have dedicated spaces, so again, they're sharing, and it becomes a space concern with them all being in the same room. And then again, as I mentioned before, it's the conference rooms, the professional development rooms, resource rooms, and then general updates in terms of the bathrooms. There's a lot of individual bathrooms, especially for the kindergarten rooms, and so they just need general updates. And so then we can move on to compound, which is our 4 to 5. And so we have less findings here. We don't tend to see as much of an enrollment capacity issue here. But we do have similar things where the resources and student support services are in split classrooms or shared spaces, which is hindering a little bit of how they flow throughout their day. And then another thing to note in our findings before we move on for compound is just general updates to the music room in terms of like the sound absorption panels, cosmetic things like that. Something else to note is they also share their eSteam with their library, except unlike the other 2 schools, their eSteam is much smaller, and so that may be something to address. Okay. So then we're going to move on to this beautiful school here, the middle school. And so what we found here are general renovations, right? We have a huge school, a lot of spaces, a lot of students, and it's not necessarily an enrollment issue here, but it's more we found how we utilize the spaces. We have, in general, a lot of smaller spaces where we could use larger spaces to accommodate the student support spaces, the ENLs, the reading classes. And then overall, in general, the music and art spaces need updating. So as we move through, these are just some photos. Go to the next one. These are just some photos of some of the small spaces that we're addressing here, right? So, in terms of bringing in the student population that they need at one time, it's very limited with the size space that we have. In addition, we found that there are some general updates needed in the band rooms, the practice rooms. They're very small. The idea is to hold a classroom or at least a half a class to practice in these rooms, and we find that that's just not feasible and it's just not happening right now. And then as we move on, there's a space that's currently used now for chorus, which is not ADA compliant. So that's something that we found. There's 3 exits into this space, but none of them are ADA, so we wanted to make sure that we did note that. And then as we know, this building was built in 1969, I believe, 65, and along with it is the millwork. So we found that in majority of spaces, with the exception of the newest addition, that the millwork is past its useful time. And so we have some photos of that there, and that corresponds to the art room, the home and careers renovation room, and also with the home and careers, because there's the cooking element, there's also the sewing element, and we found that the flow between both spaces aren't being utilized as best as they can. And then just moving forward, our science rooms, again, just illustrates the where the quality of the millwork and where it sits today and our findings in relation to that. And then in general, so we're looking, when we talk back about ADA, we're also looking at there's a significant amount of door hardware that we found that is not ADA compliant. There's several bathrooms that could use some updating. We have findings where we have a lot of wire glass in locations, skylights in locations that aren't necessarily functional. And then also with the lockers in the newer wing, although they are newer lockers, the finding was that they're not as functional or utilized because they can't be allocated to different students top and above. And then in addition, the elevator is something that we found needed to be also updated. And then that brings us to our high school. And again, we're not talking about capacity or enrollment issues at the high school, but what we did find is that they're looking to relocate their science research and robotics labs to a more functional space within the school. In addition, general updates to the music spaces, similar to the other schools. And then again, a new athletic field. We found track resurfacing. And then again, with the professional development, there's just a little bit of a lack of workroom space in that we found. And that will bring us to our next steps.
Any questions? I know it's a lot of information to sort of look at once, but it's if you look at the elementary schools, the two of them are very similar in terms of what the needs really are, and it's tricky because it's hard to kind of encapsulate all the small issues that you have and to organize them into or to talk about solving them. So that essentially is the next steps, is looking at all the information, organizing it in a way where we can figure out, okay, what is it we're actually solving? What's the problem we're solving? Is it an enrollment issue? Is it a small space issue for student support spaces? And once we have a better understanding of that and through more discussion, we start to translate that into a solution. So the issues at the middle school and high school are very different. A lot of it is more some spaces that could use to be better relocated or reorganized to modernize the spaces, as well as just general upgrades and maintenance and renovations to modernize essentially door hardware, doors themselves, millwork, obviously, and to try to get some of these classrooms up to a new standard. And in doing so, looking at all the things that we discussed, like what is important about instructional space and how can we better support, how can we provide a space that better supports delivery.
A couple of things. One, Ron, we're going to have the demographer come talk to us about the demographic studies so we can talk about future enrollment needs and current enrollment needs.
That's for an upcoming meeting to just project out with the construction that's forecast in town and without the construction, looking at enrollment projections 10 years out.
Okay. All right. And I know you wanted to make sure that some of the pictures are illustrative and not necessarily every single classroom. Ron's getting a little nervous over
I think that's the one thing that I wanted to point out is we showed the worst of the pictures, and this is not every classroom in the middle school, and I just wanted to make sure that that was clearly noted for the view, because at home there may not be this context when we post the presentation online. So these were more the exceptions as opposed
absolutely.
to the rules.
And a lot of the concerns are in the areas on the plan that we've highlighted, and you'll see that they're not all over the place. They're actually very isolated locations.
Right. Pete, did you have any questions? Yes. Okay, Mike?
No, I don't have any questions. I think the approach has been great so far. I'm one who wants to jump to solutions, so I'll have to wait for that piece, but I know it's coming, so thank you.
Rashmi?
I'm good, thanks.
Carol?
I'm good, thank you.
Lisa?
No question.
Okay, so we're going back to the steering committee and we're going to start to develop next steps. I mean, this has been really helpful. Lisa or Deirdre, did you have any questions?
I think for us, it's what are the options now moving forward, and I think that's the next level of the work. We understand and thank you for the thorough look into our schools. This is necessary. It's so important. The principals were really appreciative of kind of the attention to the building, and those details are important to all of us. So thank you for that. And I think for us, next steps are, well, what are our options? What can we do about it? And there are a few things that I believe are considerations. What I heard loud and clear through the presentation are the space limitations at Brookside and Mohansick. That was loud and clear. What I also heard are the upgrades, just general upgrades at the middle school. That came through loud and clear. Then there's some programmatic enhancements at the high school that I believe more information will come from that. I think I heard music, I heard robotics, science research, fields. I heard those items come up. And the piece that impacts taxpayers, I think, is a very important conversation for us to have in terms of, look, whatever it is that we do, we obviously want there to be minimal impact to our taxpayers. And hopefully we can design something that meets both needs, which has been our approach for so many years. Give the students the resources that they need while being sensitive and respectful to our taxpayers. And I'm confident that as you present options moving forward, both would be front and center in the presentations, giving our students what they need and respect for the taxpayer.
And I believe as you went through the buildings, you also had conversations with our special ed department, because that is, in a large case, where we're running out of the space. So you've had those discussions, so you're aware of the spaces that are needed, or we're currently lacking in, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, no, thank you very much. This has been wonderful. We truly appreciate all the time you've put into it so far.
Thanks.
This is a wonderful presentation.
Yeah, no, we look forward to continuing, and really coming up with the solutions that support your students. This is the work we love to do. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just have a few updates that I just wanted to go through for our community, for our board certainly. There is new Westchester County legislation with regard to stop-arm cameras, and the legislation essentially speaks to any school district wishing to put cameras on their bus stop arms can do that at no cost to the school district. Now, I just want the school district would have to opt into the Westchester County program. Before I went further with this, I do know that we don't own our bus fleet. We're contracted out, so I wanted to just, if it's okay with the board, before we do anything formal, I just wanted to get more information. But we know the legislation's out there. We know that it's been passed in Westchester County. We know that this is growing in popularity. And so I wanted, obviously, our community to know that we're aware of it. We've seen the legislation at this point, and we've received an invitation to gather more information. So if it's okay with everyone here, I'd like to gather more information and come back to the board with you with that information. But I also wanted to just let our community know that we are aware of the new legislation that was passed. The second update that I want to offer is with regard to pre-K. We completed our RFP process. The RFP window to respond ended on Friday, May 5th at 11 a.m. We did have 3 organizations respond. 2 are located within the community, 1 without. The 2 within the community would not be able to meet our enrollment. In fact, they weren't even at a third of the enrollment, or they were at about a third of the enrollment. The other organization that responded, and we're finishing our vetting process, will be able to accommodate every child in our allocation. So with this partnership, we'll be able to offer a pre-K program 9 to 2 for any student within our school district catchment area who is interested in participating in pre-K, and that will be at no cost to the family. Well, it's any student who qualifies, which means that they live within the school district catchment area, and they will turn 4 by December 1st, 2023. We have 188 slots based on the interest from the survey. We received over 200 responses. However, about 30 did not have children who qualified. They knew they did not have children who qualified, but they were so excited about the pre-K program, they wanted to share their excitement, and they did that through the survey, which is terrific, and we were able to go through the survey and obviously not include those families in the count. So we have about 175 students, unique students, who are interested in participating in the program. And this has been so favorably received by members of our community. There's a lot of excitement around a pre-K program here, and to think that we can bring that in. And if the numbers hold at 175, so that means that everyone who expressed interest joins the program and no new families enroll, or we have room for 13 more. But we'll be able to service every single child in the school community who qualifies for the program this coming year in September. So we're working through some of the space constraints. We're finalizing some of the language. We're checking references, doing our due diligence. We'll make a recommendation to the board at the next meeting. Time is of the essence because the Office of Family and Children Services is the licensor of these spaces. So rather than it being New York State Education Department regulated, despite it coming through the school district, we have to work with an outside agency, and the permitting for the spaces take every bit of 3 months. So if they started today, we anticipate the completion of the licensing for the space to be in early August or mid-August. So that's where we are. We're excited. We're moving along. There's a lot of interest, a lot of excitement. We do have a respondent to the RFP who can service all the children in the district. And to think where we were 6 months ago, a year ago, in terms of bringing pre-K here, and it's going to be a reality in September. It will be a very minimal cost to taxpayers. It will not impact the tax rate. It's a matter of our district putting together the curriculum, how wonderful it is for our teachers and our staff to be able to put together the curriculum. So it's an exciting time for us. Those are generally one-time expenses that we're making, and it's just a terrific, terrific opportunity for our school community. I presented this to each of the schools, and there's great excitement within the schools, great excitement within the community, and just a terrific next step for us.
Just two things. One, it's proposed to be housed in French Hill.
That's one of the options that we're looking at. We are looking at French Hill as the location. The reality is 188 students at the thresholds for, there are caps. So pre-K is very heavily regulated with regard to the number of students who can be in a single classroom. So they can go up to 21 children in a class with 3 adults in the class, because it's generally an 8-to-1 ratio with a cap of 21. So to find that amount of classroom space that's available, French Hill is a very viable option.
And the other question is how, because we've received as a board emails from parents who said they weren't aware of the survey. So how will we make sure that the entire catchment area is aware that even if they don't have students within our district currently, that they know that this is available to them?
So word of mouth, first of all, has been very helpful to us because there have been communications that have been spread throughout the community. We do send our listserv that reaches over 4,000 email addresses. We do have our website. We'll post it on our digital sign. We'll also work with the town to see if they can help us get the message out, because they may have a different audience or just a bigger audience or just a unique audience to us. So we'll certainly tap into the town to assist us in that regard. Yeah, the other piece are our curriculum maps have now been posted online. They've gone live. So what I'm going to do, and I just wanted to thank Mrs. Ammerling, thank our principals, Mr. Miller, Ms. Chesser, and our teachers for all of the work that went into getting to the point where we can publish our curricula online. So Yvette, what I'm going to ask you to do is, can you go to our main homepage, and I'm going to ask the camera to pan over to the screen. I just want to just quickly demonstrate how to access the curriculum maps on our website. So once we're on our homepage, under the Departments tab, if we just hover the mouse over the Departments tab, we can go down and see Curriculum and Instruction, and we can click on that link. And once we get to the Curriculum and Instruction homepage, the Curriculum and Instruction landing page, the fourth bullet down there says Curriculum Maps. So we'll just click on Curriculum Maps. And as we scroll down just a bit, let's take, you can scroll down even further. So there are the various grade levels. You can stop there. Let's click on any grade. You can click on first grade. It's great. You can click on ELA. It's also searchable. So this is a searchable website. And there are various, and you can scroll down a bit. So the various units of study in ELA, guiding questions, the readings that are done, and you can continue to scroll. So the texts that are used, the skills that are taught. This is a really, really robust document, and we're very proud to be able to share this with our school community and have this information available to our community. So Yvette, thank you for demonstrating how to navigate to the website, and then from there it's searchable and it's relatively user-friendly. So we're excited for that addition to our website. This was a very big lift for our school district. It's a big lift for any school district to compile all of the maps, put them in this form, in a usable, searchable form. And again, Ms. Ammerling, thank you, and certainly thank you to our school principals, Mr. Miller, Ms. Chesser, and our teachers for all of their efforts in making this information publicly available to our community on demand. And that'll conclude the report. There are some other updates, but again, you can check on our website. The pre-K FAQs have been posted to our website. There are just so many wonderful things. The newsletter that we put out just on Friday has a lot of upcoming dates, so I won't rehash all of the upcoming events. There's a lot happening. I think the first page or two of the newsletter were just upcoming events. So I share that with our school community. Please go on to our newsletter that was sent out. It's also posted to the website. That will give you every upcoming date in all of our schools and districts.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you for those curriculum maps. All right, we're up to board action items. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the April 24th and April 25th meetings?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can I have a motion to approve the Westchester Putnam School Board Association's ratification of the 23-24 budget and slate of officers and members of the Board of Directors?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Under personnel, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion that the following be approved. Under certified personnel, we have appointments, addition to the substitute list, unpaid leave of absence or resignation, and under classified personnel, we have a permanent appointment.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Business office. Athletic merger resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools. The board hereby approves the following athletic mergers for the 2023-24 school year. Of merger applications, we have girls varsity swim and dive, boys varsity swim and dive, girls varsity gymnastics, and varsity freshman modified ice hockey.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? District Management Group. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby approves the District Management Group software and services agreement for the purpose of elementary and special ed scheduling for the Yorktown Central School District, the amount of $14,400, and further authorizes the Assistant Superintendent for Business to execute the agreement electronically.
So moved.
Discussion. Can we just get an update on this? Like, just is this new, or can we get an?
Yes,
Yes.
you want just explanation.
Sure. That software is electronic scheduling software. We will be implementing it at the 3 elementary schools so that they can more easily build a schedule that will allow for small group instruction and pullouts and I don't know if there were ELL instruction, things like that, so that we can try to find time in the schedule to do those things.
Got it. So this is something new, right?
Yes.
For this year. Okay.
Yeah, we'll implement it for next year. We're going to work on it now so that it can help build the schedule for the coming school year.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Graduation agreement. A motion to approve the agreement with EW Group to provide logistical and operational management of the Yorktown High School graduation pending receipt of insurance documents.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Health and welfare, a motion to approve the following contracts for health and welfare services provided to resident pupils attending non-public schools in other districts for the 21-22 school year. And this is for Ossining and Scarsdale.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Liberty Science Center, a motion to approve the middle school trip to the Liberty Science Center for the first LEGO League competition, May 13th and 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to approve the budget transfers that are listed below.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special ed, motion to arrange the placements that are listed below as of May 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gifts, grants, and donation. A motion to accept with gratitude the following gifts, grants, and donations at Brookside. $1,310 from the Brookside PTA for the third grade field trip to the Bronx Zoo. $4,900 from the Brookside PTA for the purchase of playground sales. At Crompond, $2,000 from the Crompond PTA for grade 4 field trip to the Museum Village. At Mildred Strang Middle School, $1,846.64 from the Blackwad Giving Fund on behalf of New York Life employee Sharina Mendez Match Program. And at Yorktown High School, $500 from Joseph Duranko III for the Joseph Discali Memorial Scholarship Fund, $500 from the Westchester Community Foundation for the David Rubenfeld Memorial Fund, and for PPS, a 20-inch adult tricycle from Dominic Panzetta for OTPT use, $2,719 from the school and district staff for the Pioneer League annual dinner dance, and $100 from Yorktown Police Benevolent Association for the Pioneer League annual dinner dance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much. Yvette, you had this mix. We're supposed to go to board comments first. Can we do board comments? Pete?
I have nothing.
Mike?
Thanks, Pete. Great evening tonight. Always wonderful to see our students, and the middle school brought a great variety of our students at different opportunities, all tied into our East-Team initiatives, which I found to be outstanding. So thank you for that. Just a reminder, I'm sure we'll get to it, but we have our budget vote coming up next week. I think it's an outstanding budget, and I would hope that the community could support it so that we can continue to have these types of opportunities for our students.
Freshman?
I'm good, thanks.
Carol?
I think tonight was a phenomenal presentation tonight. The only thing I have to add to Mike's comments is I hope that we get an invitation to their holiday boutique this year. I would love to attend. I just think it's really a wonderful a way of showcasing, the students' efforts, and they did a great job. I know you probably can't see on camera all of the beautiful things that they made, but they were really top shelf.
Lisa?
And these cookies just smell amazing as I'm sitting here. I echo everything everybody said. Please come out and vote next week on Tuesday, the 16th, for the budget and the trustees. I also just want to acknowledge the families that were involved in the bus accident. We're with you. We're thinking of you. We hope you get better. And for the families that are supporting the students and the total staff members who were involved, our thoughts are with you.
I want to, the presentation tonight was top notch. It was probably one of the best. I love seeing things other than the pure academics, and seeing what our kids are doing with East-Team is amazing on all levels. I also want to thank the architects for coming out. They've done a great job. They've worked really hard going through all of our buildings in a fairly short amount of time. We just brought them on a few months ago. So I'm really excited to be working with them, and as a district, to see where we can move the district forward on our facilities, so it'll be wonderful. Did you guys have anything to say? So we're going to go up to our final public comment. Did anybody sign up? No. So can I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're going to have a motion to go into executive session for matters pertaining to its employment of a particular corporation, and we will not be returning to public session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Thank you, everyone.